afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 46th episode of MSME Masterclass. I am pleased to introduce today's esteemed speaker, Mr. Swapnil Thakre, the founder of Tanoo Quality Management Services. With over 21 years of unwavering passion and dedication, Mr. Thakre has been a driving force in transforming industries by empowering, educating, and enabling individuals across various levels of organizations to excel in their roles. Mr. Thakre's journey began in the world of test engineering and programming. Still, his thirst for deeper engagement led him from the confines of cubicle to the dynamic environment of shop floors and industrial operations. His extensive expertise as a certified lead auditor in multiple disciplines, including quality, environment, occupational health and safety, information security management, and more, has positioned him as a trusted advisor and a catalyst for change in over 200 projects across India and the Middle East. From MSMEs and family-managed businesses to large corporates, MNCs and government institutions, Mr. Thakre has played a pivotal role in helping organizations adopt global standards and cutting-edge technologies to enhance efficiency and safety. His work is guided by a powerful motto, making life better and safer, one project at a time. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Swapnil Thakre as he shares his insights and experiences with us today on the role of 5S in manufacturing. Welcome to MSME Masterclass, Swapnil. We are happy to have you.
Thank you so much. That was such a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much.
So, Swapnil, I've already introduced our topic for today. My first question to you today is, what are the key benefits of implementing the 5S methodology in a MSME manufacturing setup?
Okay. Before I go into that, let me just take a minute to share what is 5S. When we say 5S, these are basically a Japanese concept originated, so which we call as Seri, Seton, Teso, Iketsu, and Shitsuko. Okay, so that was Japanese, but I'll make it simplified in English. So what it means is basically sorting. Seri is sorting. Then Seton, which is setting in order. Third one, which we say Seso, which is shine, housekeeping, cleaning. Then Siketsu, what we mean is standardization. And then Shitsuku, which is sustainability for whatever you create. So that is what we mean as 5S is concerned. Now, if you look at it, there are multiple benefits to an organization in adopting 5S. To start with, when I say sorting helps you to segregate what is needed for the organization, what is not needed. And when I say that, you can consider here raw material, you can consider here finished good, you can consider here certain tools, you can consider here certain equipments as well. So segregating them. Then we talk about is basically setting in order. So when you do setting in order, the workflow becomes much more cleaner, much more better, much more less hassle-free, right? And more, I would say, operation or instruction oriented. Then third one, shine. As we know, everybody likes and loves to work in a cleaner environment. So shine, housekeeping. It also has a lot of positive impact when you talk about occupational health and safety, right? Within any kind of an operation, it can be an office environment or it can be a factory environment. The fourth one, which is standardization. Whatever you create has to deliver you consistently, and that's where the standardization comes into play. Very important. And whatever you create as a process can sustain, can continue for a longer time. So standardization, right? And the last one, what we say is basically the sustainability. So whatever is created, we pass on to the next generation of our organizations, okay, the upcoming generation of the organization. So it continues to grow and improve further. So that's what are the multiple benefits that organization can extract by adopting the 5S concept in their organization, right?
Swapnil, the next leg to this is, what role does leadership play when it comes to adopting the 5Ss and sustaining the methodology?
Wow, what a lovely question here. In fact, if you ask me, everything starts from the leadership. We always say that any management system concept, the visionary is the top management, the chairman, and the implementation goes down till the doorman. And whenever a good implementation happens, you never meet the chairman first, you always meet the doorman first. So is it an effective implementation or not, you come to know by meeting the doorman, because you meet the chairman at the last. So if you see, the origination of this vision happens from the top management. The top management creates the vision, communicates the vision to the entire organization. They set the kind of a goal what organization is looking forward for. They motivate, they bring the entire organization together, share their views, share their thoughts, and engage the team to get the things implemented. And apart from that, we know that the top management is the one which is going to provide the required resources, which are going to support with respect to the required resources. In case of any hurdles, we always will rely upon our leadership team to help us hold our hands and sail through the entire implementation. And even not only that, but also in future, in case if there is any change, any kind of a change of environment which gets created, the top management very much is active over there to support, to adapt or to accept the change and again sustain the entire implementation. So if you ask me, the leadership plays a very pivotal role in this entire implementation, supporting the entire concept to be effectively implemented and accounted for. Yeah.
Now, let's say if I am an MSME and I want to start my journey of 5S, what is the initial steps for me to adopt?
Okay, so for any, I would not only 5S, but I would say any management system implementation, we always talk about the Deming cycle. Okay, if you are aware of the Deming cycle, we say PDCA, plan, do, check, and act, an act of improvement. So let us look at each of these phases part by part. So first one is plan. So whenever you are planning to implement a 5S, I think first comes the manpower, material, methodology, instrument, facility. So all this planning concept has to be done. Why we are doing? I think the why answering happens in the planning stage. And then what kind of resources we will require for this. So is setting the vision to the entire team, getting the resources, okay, discussing with them what is the steps, how we are going to go about it. Also creating the required maybe even SOPs or even checklists or the formats for the 5S can be part of your planning. Then comes to doing, that is implementation. And the implementation stage first starts with conducting trainings and orientation to the team, getting everybody on board, creating a role model to them so that they start the implementation part. So that is where we talk about the do phase. The third one is the check. So whatever has been planned and whatever is getting implemented when it comes to 5S, whether we are doing that. So that is where the checking or the monitoring aspect comes into it. And for any concept, there are going to be discrepancies, there are going to be gaps, or there are, as we technically say, non-compliances. So once you identify that, we do the act of improvement. We further fine-tune the entire implementation. So these are the, I would say, 4 stages which any project goes. And similarly, even the 5S will go to ensure that we effectively implement it and then we continually improve it further from there. Yeah.
For the sake of understanding, for me and for the audience, we would go into the details of 1S at a time and try and understand the nitty-gritties of it. So let's start with sort. Under sort, Swapnil, can you tell us what is the principle that will help us identify and eliminate waste in the production process?
And along with the 5S, I would say one more as Swapnil Thakre being here. Okay, so first concept when we say sort. So whenever we do the sorting, as I said, you can apply this principle to the raw materials, to the packaging materials, to your overheads, to your equipment, to your tools. And what we are doing is that while sorting, we are segregating what is needed and what is not needed. Okay. Now, once we do that, we can clearly identify what is good for use material and what is something which can be scrapped, which can be termed as a waste, so that segregations can happen very clearly. Also, it helps an organization to identify if they are not indulging themselves into excess inventory. So again, there is a cost involved, right? So sorting helps you to clear these things, and based on that, identify the good material and utilize those good material in a kind of a FIFO system, first in, first out system. So you minimize the waste, you minimize the scrap, and the production activity can happen in a much more, I would say, effective and cost-effective way, right? So that is what is with respect to the sorting principle. Yeah.
Now, moving on to set in order, can you share some practical examples of how set in order improves workflow efficiency on the shop floor?
Okay, so there are I would say multiple ways how you can set in order. So the first principle is that place for everything and everything in its own right place. So identifying different locations by properly signages, by properly labeling within your, I would say, the production area, within your stores area, within even your administrative office area. So everything has a right place. That right place is been designated, identified, and that thing is over there. Now that itself can reduce a lot of your movement time, lot of your searching time, lot of your sourcing time. So that is the first thing. Second thing, on the hardcore production floor, I would say there is something called as a tool shadow board, where the outlines of the tools are created, and any I would say operator can easily identify where I am supposed to keep these tools. So it again creates a much more safer environment in the production floor, and again the searching of a particular tool can be minimized. Then something what we talk about is creating the visual management. So in visual management, you can have your pictures, you can have clearly identified certain signages, certain instructions. Okay, so while operating a particular machinery, operating a particular tool, it becomes much less hassle-free, much more safer environment, and you get a much more better quality as a part of an output, right? Again, segregating the production area and the non-production area, that is also part, you can say, a part of sorting in setting in order, so that we clearly identify that which is the area which is going to be used for production area, which is the area in which the equipment or the toolings are going to happen. So again, there is a better quality over there and a safer environment which works over there. So these are multiple ways by which a sorting can happen within the production area, within the stores area, so that things are less hassle and much more safer environment to create production. And a safer environment, let me tell you, Amrita, creates further productivity and efficiency when it comes to the production area. A lot of these techniques can be used as a part of setting your entire operation in board. Yeah.
Moving on to the third S, which is shine. Can you tell our attendees what are the best practices for maintaining cleanliness and organization as part of the shine principle?
Wow. I mean, and as I said initially, this is a Japanese concept, but don't we in our Indian civilization also have the similar concept? Now we have our festive season coming up. So the first thing what we do is basically shining our homes and offices to welcome the festive period. So when it comes to shine, something very important, I would say start with a general survey of your premises. Okay, what technically is also called as a Gemba walk. Okay, so you have a survey with your team in your production area, in your stores area, in your office area, and identify which area of my operations are critical and which are maybe not so critical area, or which are the areas where high level of housekeeping or cleanliness is required, and certain areas where the frequency of cleanliness can be little bit lesser. Okay, now once you identify this area, like example for a lab, you may expect high level of hygiene to be there, especially if it's a pharma or food sector. Imagine a certain production area where sterilized process is happening. So identify such a high priority area, and I would say mid priority area or less priority area within the. So that is the first thing what you do by doing the survey. Now, once you do that, you create a plan, you create a checklist that this is, let's say, a high hygiene area. Now, what should be my frequency of housekeeping over there? What should be the kind of chemicals or kind of solutions I should be using over there? What kind of safety equipment should be used while doing that particular cleanliness process? Is there some kind of a special training needed for the people to do that particular cleanliness activity? So again, I go into the planning concept. I also devise a checklist over there. Okay. Now, based on that checklist, now I get into the implementation or the practice of those particular checklist phase, right? So those implementation happens, and then very important to administer that whatever the cleaning is happening, somebody, like we say in accounting, maker checker, somebody needs to monitor or verify whether that checklist is getting implemented, is getting practiced on a day-to-day basis. And like as I said, if there are any kind of gaps or anything, that those course corrections can be done over there. Along with this, also very important, Amrita, is to create the culture of cleanliness and hygiene. I have seen certain production areas. Recently also, I visited one of the MSME into rubber product manufacturing. And believe me, again, here a lot of things comes from the culture building. The management can create that culture of housekeeping. If we are in a notion, we are working in this particular area and it is going to be unclean area, then so be it. Then your culture is going to build in that particular line. But if you are very clear that whatever the manufacturing industry may be, whether it is a plastic, whether it's a rubber or any other metal related, and we are going to believe, then we can create that area with respect to cleanliness. That culture can be developed, and even the management can reward and recognize certain areas which are kept up to the expectations of hygiene or cleanliness. So that's how we simultaneously create the culture of hygieneness. And again, as you said, a clean, clear environment always motivates the internal stakeholders like the employees, and also motivates the external stakeholders. So when you visit such kind of a factory or a plant, I'm sure the first impression you get is this is an organization which is much more organized, standardized, and having a much more safer environment. So as I said, the internal confidence build up and the external confidence builds up for further growth in the organization. Yeah. So that is something about Shine what I can share with you. Yeah.
The fourth S, let's address that. How does Standardise ensure consistent quality and reduce variability in manufacturing operations?
Super. So I think your question itself has the answer hidden in it. So one of the definition of quality is consistency. Quality equals to consistency. And how do we create consistency? We can create a consistency by clearly documenting, by clearly defining the process. So today, let's say Swapnil is doing a particular process. If it is not defined in a proper way, then Amrita may follow her own process or practice over there, and which will not be consistent with maybe what is the thought process. So in another way, standardization also is bringing the common sense on a black and white document. Common, what is common across different senses, bring it in on a common document, so everybody follows the same particular practice. Now how we can do that? Again, I would say to start with, always start with a survey. It always helps to have a realistic view of your operations. Okay, you can do the survey, you can have some third party also involved in doing the survey, so they can give a completely different thought, and based on that you get those SOPs documented, what we say standard operating procedures documented. And one here a very important point I would suggest is that it does not mean that if you have 5-pagers and 10-pager SOP, that means you are a fantastically and a very effective organization. I would in fact suggest try to keep your standard operating procedure as crisp as possible. So any person within the organization or tomorrow outside the organization, if coming for an audit, should be able to easily understand what all steps are going to be there. And every SOP should be, I would say, annexed with what are the evidences that can be checked as a part of effective implementation of the SOP. Now, if you have that kind of, again, a maker-checker thing, then it will ensure that the end output is consistent. See, a new person may take some more time doing a particular activity, but if he follows the SOP, I'm sure the end result will be in the same line is what is expected. So that's why the standardization of process are very important. And by having a proper recording system, you can monitor, you can audit, you can correct, and you can improve. There is nothing static here that once an SOP is done, it is done forever. So that can be reviewed on a periodical basis to further fine-tune it as there are process changes or as more process validations that need to be done, right? But as I said, it helps a more organization to operate in a system-oriented manner rather than being on a particular dependency aspect. So very important to have SOPs in our organization or a standardization.
Understood. Now the last S in the 5 S's, which is sustain. What challenges might MSMEs face when implementing the sustain phase of 5 S's, and how can they overcome them?
Again, very, very beautiful question, Amrita, because I have seen a lot of organizations which start with a lot of gung-ho and lot of positivity, and then they want to achieve certain standardization, certain certifications, and once they achieve it, you see it going back to the old habits, old not so good kind of habits. So yeah, so that's why sustainability phase becomes very important. In fact, I would say once you achieve a certain benchmark, let's say like a 5S or any other, sustaining is a further bigger challenge where you have to ongoingly practice these concepts in your organization. And one of the way to ensure these ongoing practices are happening is having a proper engagement, participation and consultation, right? So again here, management again plays a very critical role to create those multiple platforms, whether the platforms is with respect to the FIS meetings to happen every week or every month, or is there an audits which are happening where all the stakeholders, I would in fact even say like a lot of business operations now you see are also having contractor employees. So I would in fact say the management can invite their representatives also in such meetings to have a very open dialogue with respect to what is the kind of expectations, what is the management expectation, what is their client expectation, what is the legal expectation as well, because all of these have to operate within the legal framework and have a kind of an open conversation with respect to what are the challenges, how we can support each other to continue with this. So I would say these meetings, participation and consultation, again, a very important point. One is I can invite them to participate in the meeting and just share my views. It is not going to help. Consultation is very important here. So I invite them for a meeting, I share my views and I listen to their views as well. I listen to their challenges as well. And there where once that kind of a communication happens between the organization, between the MSME and its internal stakeholders or even its vendors or contractors, you will see much more better churning out of the information, knowledge and implementation in a better way. A lot of these challenges can be overcome by having good open communication. Also periodic orientations, or you can have some kind of a cleanliness week, or you can say month, or you can say some kind of safety week, safety month, which can create multiple events which energizes the entire organization to keep on practicing this, making some kind of a score competition within the organization among the various departments, that how they are implementing the FIS and how they are improving it. And at the same time, nothing works better like a reward and recognition. Why don't we reward and recognize to the functions, to the areas who are much more effectively operating or implementing the FIS system? I think all these techniques, methods can be used to sustain it further and overcome those challenges of boredom, of implementing on once it is done, we are back to. So all those things can be overcome with this. And as I said, management will need to constantly keep their focus on this, whether it is today one organization or tomorrow they may have multiple units or multiple business starting with, but they will have to constantly keep the focus on along with this team with respect to the FIS sustainability is concerned. Yeah.
Now, if we had to consolidate all the 5Ss, can you tell our attendees how does the 5S system help reduce downtime and improve the machinery efficiency in a setup, in an MSME setup?
Wow. I think, when it comes to process equipments, okay, the process equipments is again a very critical attribute with respect to your overall production value time, okay, and having a proper FIS implemented with respect to, I would say, specifically maintenance function, right? So you identify your equipment desired preventive maintenance plan, okay, that will come as a part of your SHINE concept, where you identify what is going to be my preventive maintenance plan for it. Then using the SORT concept to identify critical components and maybe certain components which need to be there in the backup and properly set in order, so that in case if there is any machine down, okay, due to any kind of a breakdown, we can source that particular component or part in the minimum possible time and ensure that the machine gets up and running. Okay, so very important, and ensuring that these kind of preventive maintenance are happening in a proper way and further moving towards maybe total productive maintenance or predictive maintenance for that matter. So like these, the FIS concepts can be applied for the maintenance function itself by having a backup spares, some very critical components, properly sorting it, ensuring proper preventive maintenance are happening, and in case if there is any breakdown happening, we minimum time to get it up by having all these components right in place, and then training of having the competent people to ensure those breakdowns can be sorted within the minimum time, can help the downtime to be reduced and can help the uptime or the production time to be further leveraged, because that is what ultimately the value generation is going to happen, right? That is how all these things. So these concepts can be applied for the entire maintenance or even entire tool room for that. Many of the MSMEs may have their entire, apart from machine, tool rooms as well, right? Especially plastic molding or some other. So the same concept can be applied to the tool. Ensure you have an entire master list of tool identified and do periodic inspection of that, so that you are not coming across to a sudden embarrassing or an accidental situation, So by doing those, you can reduce the kind of breakdowns happening. And this will help you not only to reduce your downtime, but it will help you for further machine performance, equipment performance, also very important, longevity of the equipment. Okay, so these all, if you look at, helps to keep the operation cost in a minimum way and ensure that you have further profitability. I always say today, profitability may not be much in the sales unless and until you are in a monopoly product, but your profit at purchase and your profit at operations is something very critical which can keep your competitivity. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I would say maintenance to profit margins, maintenance to margin concept.
Lovely. My next question to you, Swapnil, is, let's say if I am the MSME and I have already implemented the 5S model, now how do I measure its effectiveness?
Okay, wow, that's again a very, very nice question, because ultimately all organizations want to see what is the final outcome and what you measure can be improved upon, right? So Amrita, there can be multiple parameters or KPIs, what we say key performance indicators, which you can identify to measure. You can start with, like as we discussed about, what is the current downtime percentage, okay, or what is the, in the reverse way, what is the productivity percentage. You can measure with respect to the production planning versus efficiency as one of the metrics, that this is what we had planned for the week or the month and what we have actually achieved as a part of the entire 5S implementation. That can be taken as one of the metrics. One again very important attribute can be taken with respect to waste generation. Is the waste generation reducing or waste generation increasing? Because that is a cost to my operation. So that can be one of the attributes with respect to 5S proper implementation. You can also look at one very important point, apart from I would say cleaning and hygiene and efficient safety. What is the number of incident level within my operations? With my proper 5S implementation, is the number of incidents, that can be quality incidents, that can be environmental incidents, that can be health safety incidents. Is it increasing? Is it reducing? That can be also one of the attributes to check whether my 5S is moving in the right direction. So these are certain multiple attributes which can be taken. And one very important also, you can look at the motivation of your people. Like as I said, one of the outcome of 5S implementation is having employees motivated with respect to working in such a kind of an environment. So what is the manpower turnaround? So am I getting a higher turnaround in my production area, stores area, or operational area, or is it below the expected level? So these can be multiple attributes which can be checked on a periodical basis and seen that how the implementation is happening in an effective way. And as I said, it's all about step-by-step improvement. So never ever get demotivated if those KPIs are not falling with respect to expectation. Look at what is the root cause, identify what is the root cause, and then take actions to further improve. So it's an ongoing process to further fine-tune it. Yeah.
Now, Swapnil, my question to you is, and which is a very important, critical question to understand from an audience perspective. I may want to implement the 5S, but I would want to know what are the financial implications of implementing the 5S. Also, if there is none, it's good. If there is something financially, financial implications of implementing it, then how do we justify that financial implication?
If you ask me, Amrita, today, 5S is, I would say, in fact, one of the most cost-effective project which an organization can take, or a very less investment-sensitive project which an organization can be, because it is all about setting operations in much more order, okay, unless and until it's some major infrastructural change what you need to do. So if I look at it, this can be the first project, improvement project any organization can think about, because it's totally inward. There is nothing outward you need to look at. It's more of inward. And in today's time, I think a lot of platforms are available. We are in the digital age, so a lot of guidance, a lot of videos, a lot of documents may be available online itself. So if the management is clear that this is what I need to implement it, they can do that particular part of the self-study, or they can have some external resource also to support to them. So if you have an external resource, obviously there can be a certain cost to it. But as I said, there are so much of data today available, information available online, that it can be actually done absolutely free of cost. They can just go through it and they can start implementing it step by step with respect to. So if you look at it, there can be certain basic cost. If you are not at all having any person to do any cleanliness activity, then maybe you may say, okay, there is an additional cost to keep or upkeep that particular thing, right? If you say you need to keep certain spare in backup, then you can look at maybe some kind of a cost to ensure those particular spares or certain signages, what you do as a part of visual management. But if you ask me, these are not some very major investments which an organization is looking at. These are at a very basic level. And one very important point, Amrita, which we were trained, is we always look at cost of quality. Now, when we use the concept of cost of quality, that does not mean you pay high for having a quality product or a service. What we mean by cost of quality is actually cost of poor quality. Let us say if I don't implement 5S in my organization, in my business operation, what is the cost of poor quality I am incurring in my organization? Whether it is with respect to quality failures, whether it is with respect to surplus wastages or excessive inventory which I am having, okay, with respect to dead inventory which I am having, with respect to more time which is required for production or getting the breakdown up, with respect to losing certain manpower with respect from my organization. So if I add all these cost of poor quality and vis-a-vis compare with what I am expected to invest, no, it will be very, very minimal investment I'm looking at with respect to bias. Yeah, because it's more of getting your house into order. Right? We are not expecting any high infrastructural investment to start. It's just getting the house into order. So you can get maybe a half-acre plant also in order, and you can get even a 1-acre plant also in order at a very minimalistic cost, and you applying certain basic sense which is there. Yeah.
And how can Swapnil, how can 5S contribute to the better safety standards in a manufacturing environment?
Wow, we visit a lot of MSMEs, and many times you may come across that the tools are kept in a haphazard way in the production floor of the stores, or some material is lying within the walkway, and such kind of scenarios are sometimes evident in the MSME. So by applying the 5S concept, as I said, first of all, you will sort whatever is not necessary, you will clear up. So you will have a much better operational area within the organization, much lesser hindrance within the operation. Everything is properly set in order. So there is nothing which is coming in your walkways or while manufacturing, or even your emergency exit doors, right? So by applying these concepts, you will definitely minimize any accidents happening by keeping the tools haphazardly on the shop floor, like the cutters or the welding equipment, electrodes, or in any other kind of tools. So it will definitely minimize any kind of incident happening. Also, by having proper shine concept implemented, you will make sure that the hazardous materials are well kept, well taken care of as per the required MSDS, what we say, material safety data sheets. Also, your fire extinguishers are properly working, properly validated. So even you have those backup things in a proper order. So again, it will minimize any kind of a major hazard happening within the operational activity. By having a proper standardization, you ensure that there is a proper health and safety, what you say, occupational and health and safety system within your organization. So people are trained, people are educated about what are the various safety situations within the organization. They know what is going to be my evacuation plan. They know what is going to be my emergency plan, or how do I minimize it. And creating a safety culture, like as I said, creating a hygiene cleanliness culture is also about creating a safety culture within the organization as far as the sustainability is concerned. So if you ask me, there are a lot of benefits when it comes to health and safety. And one most important, who wants to today, along with their day-to-day business operation, get into any kind of a legal challenge, any kind of occupational health and safety incident, situation, in a major way, can create tomorrow a legal risk to your organization. So by implementing these certain basic concepts like bias within the organization, you can also ensure you have a proper defense mechanism or a mitigation plan for such kind of risk happening for your organization. Yeah.
Swapnil, can 5S be tailored or customized to suit the specific needs of a different manufacturing industry?
Yeah, again, excellent question, Amrita. Many of the viewers may feel that this is only to be applied for a manufacturing area, but this is a concept. This concept can be applied across industry, whether you talk about pharmaceutical industry, whether you talk about food industry, whether you talk about even IT, an information technology or a software company or a hospital. You name the industry, and 5S is a global concept. It's a global concept. Every organization is going to somewhere deal with some or the other kind of maybe raw material, maybe overhead, or maybe some kind of a packaging material, right? Every organization is going to deal with either good material or not so good material, right? So if I talk about the salt concept, it can be applied across to all the industries, right? When I talk about set in order, right? Again, it is applied to all the industries. You can apply it, setting right from an office environment, having proper area to maintain all the file systems. Maybe it's a racking system, whether it's a compactor, whether it's a set furniture you have kept, and having proper filing system, proper naming conventions to the file, so that you can easily trace it back whenever it is required for any decision making, right? So again, it can be applied to any kind of an industry. Standardization of process. In fact, if you ask me, in the year 2004, many of the organizations realized that service is also a product. And that's why you will see a lot of service-oriented organizations, right from restaurants to gyms to spas, who look forward towards proper management system or a 5S concepts to be implemented. So again, standardization operation is required for each and every organization. In fact, we have worked with certain NGOs as well, because even their products are somewhere going on a global level, on a national level. So standardization again can be implemented across various industries, and any good practice, as I said, which you implement, okay, has to be sustained for further growth and has to be further improved upon over there. So if you really look at, you can tailor-made your FIS to all these various industries. What I would always suggest, start with your initial survey, identify which are the areas critical, non-critical, and start applying these concepts. Whether you are coming from a health sector or a pharma sector or a food sector. In fact, in certain sector, like as I said, the risk level may vary. For a pharma sector or for even a food sector, the hygiene or the shine level may be much more critical and much more higher compared to maybe a fabrication or a customized fabrication industries. But the concept is.
So you're saying the 5Ss may differ in terms of the percentages with regards to different industries, correct?
Yeah, the pillar will still be there. The concept will be still there, but your gravity of implementation may little bit differ depending upon the kind of industry. But it will be there. It will definitely be applied for all the industries.
Understood. And how can technology, which is an integral part of today's age and era, be used to enhance the implementation of 5S in manufacturing setup?
Yeah, before I answer that, I would also like to say, Amrita, even 5S is applied at our home as well. Right? You have a place to keep your shoes, you have a place to keep your clothes, you have a place to keep your kitchen utensils. So it's applied to all the industries, and I would say even at our home also. And I think what better to start applying it from our home. Yeah. Coming to your technology question, again, very, very important, I feel, after initial, with my experience, I would say after initially implementing it for 1 or 2 years, I'm sure digitalization is going to be very important. Automation is very important. And there are a lot of tools, technologies today available which you can apply for each and every concept of the fire. So like if I say for sorting, today you have the scanning systems, you have the barcoding systems, you have the RFID systems which can help you to sort better, right? And this can be scanned better. Then you have the different labeling and signages systems which can be adopted, or tracking systems which can be adopted for setting the things into order. Right? When I talk about hygiene, nowadays there are a lot of apps and scanners attached to those apps which are used to have a proper scan through of those particular areas. You can, in fact, even CCTV cameras, scanning CCTV cameras, as you are aware, were used during the COVID time as well, to ensure that the proper hygiene standards are maintained in those particular premises. So again, a technology can come in that particular area. With respect to SOPs, nowadays, lot of documentations is completely digitized. We visit a lot of organizations where if you ask me, 100% of standardization is through their maybe a CRM system or a ERP system or an inventory management system. So all those digitalizations can be happened with respect to standardization. And when it comes to sustaining, today a lot of organizations have gone and created their own learning platform to build the organizational development activities. So along with that, data analysis is there, augmented realities are there. So a lot of these technologies can be embedded when you are implementing these FIRES concepts to further enhance its outcome for you and make the things faster. See, ultimately, Amrita, there are the three parts which you say of a triangle. One side you have your cost, one side you have your quality, and one side you have your time. So lesser the cost, lesser the time, using the technology, helping increasing the quality will always take you ahead as an organization and will create that winning edge for your organization. So I would say initial 1 year, get the culture set in, and once you set in the culture, look at these different technology tools available in the market to further enhance its outcome productivity to you and reduce the time. So it becomes much more simplified also for the people to apply in their day-to-day operations and get you to the desired. Yeah.
That was my last question to you, Swapnil, for today's episode. We've addressed a couple of audience questions as well while conversing with you. But if the audience has any more questions, please write them down in the Q&A section and we will get them addressed by Swapnil. Thank you so much, Swapnil. It was lovely speaking with you. Thank you so much for addressing an important and pertinent topic, which is 5S in manufacturing and for MSMEs as well. It was really, really a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Looking forward. Thank you.
For our attendees, if you'd like to see any of our episodes, including the current one, please go on YouTube, type GSW1 MSME, and you will find all our episodes, including the current one, uploaded there. Thank you once again, Swapnil. Lovely speaking with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.